let's go ahead and look at Quintorius Lore Master. I found this one very interesting because he is going to be a planeswalker. Well, he is a planeswalker as we saw before, and he is getting another color. So those are two things that are really exciting. So he has red and white, and he will get a third one. And it is actually logical when you look at his lore. It is said in like one sentence that he had this color before in some way. So let's look at that. If you have read the story, you already know, but I guess let's look at it first to explain it. So Quintorius has this new card where he has grown to be a 3/5 instead of a 2/4, I believe. He still works with spirits, and he can cast things from the graveyard, which is also a mechanic that Lorehold had. So that is very thematic for him. Yeah, let's look at this one by one again. So at the beginning of your end step, you may exile a non-creature, non-land, so a sorcery instant enchantment, from your graveyard and sort of put it under Quintorius to remember. More, not that they really go there. And then you create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So in a vacuum already, if you manage to put a 5 mana 3/5 onto the battlefield with vigilance, and then put a 3/2 on top of that, that is already good value only in the stats alone. But that's not all Quintorius does. First of all, this is of course a callback to the spirit that came from the Strixhaven set. So this is still thematic for them. We see it, for example, in Lorehold Command, where we also see Quintorius with his new staff. The first segment says create a 3/2 spirit. These spirits are chunkier than the usual 1/1s because they are in the form of statues that get brought back by the Lorehold students. And because they are in a statue, you can see that they are, you can see that they are a 3/2 instead of a 1/1, which is usual for spirits. So any spirit can be used with his 3 mana tap ability to sacrifice the spirit and then choose a card exiled with Quintorius. That's why you put them under him, I guess. You may cast that card this turn without paying its mana cost. So that means that if you do get to mill a 9 mana spell, you can cast the card without paying its mana cost, thus being way faster on turn 6 or whatever. With the casting of that card, and if that spell would be put into a graveyard, you put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead, which is also great lore, because lore-wise, because you, as a Lorehold student, you don't really want to waste the history. You turn the spirits back to life, you use their spells, but then you also preserve that history so that others may use it later. So that is why you put it in your library, and actually in the actual library of Quintorius or Strixhaven itself. So I think that is a great piece of flavor, and it is just also a strong ability. Then let's talk a bit more about what Quintorius is, because he is a kind-hearted student, he is a Lorehold student, and this ability to return things from the graveyard is because he knows how to turn artifacts or spells from history back to life, and that is something that all Lorehold students learn. Quintorius actually specializes in making these spirit tokens. That is because he wants to listen to the people in history. He wants to hear their story, he wants them to speak it aloud as well, and he cares about that, and you can kind of see it in his stories. And that is why I think this piece is very telling, because the Lorehold students all have a sort of war inside of themselves between the red part and the white part of their color identity, where Quintorius hasn't often been able to touch that red part of himself, where you would change history, where you would use it for the future. He wants to keep history as it used to be, he wants to respect it. He wants to respect it because he has his own history, and his own history with his people who were marginalized and now have lesser place in society, and he wants to give them a voice too. So that is why he really wants to hear any story that people have from history. One thing that I really love, and there are a few in this piece of art, is that you can see a bit of the prismari. I guess I'm kind of spoiling what color he gets, but the prismari statue in the back. And one other thing that I really love is that he got these golden things on his tusk. I think that is a cool piece. Just fun. So his story, he started out wanting to join Strixhaven's army, of which we do not know a lot. But he was a daydreamer, he was too soft perhaps. He wasn't the strong Loxodon that you would expect him to be. So he went to Strixhaven, and there he started as a prismari student. And as a prismari student, he kind of wasn't too good, because that red side of him was underdeveloped, and actually he was better at the blue side of the school, where he would learn a lot, but he couldn't really put that art into reality. So he kind of went towards Lorehold to learn that red part better. But here, weirdly, that red part was a bit less pronounced, I guess, because he wanted to listen to the history again, and he didn't really want to change it, make chaos out of it. He wanted the order part of his color identity. And one thing I just now noticed is his goggles still return in the new art. You can see it here a bit, his goggle. So maybe there's a little bit of a special story there as well. But continuing it, we have a different version, which is in the sort of masterpiece versions. And all of these cards in the previous Strixhaven set were used to show a spell or a person that was famous in Strixhaven's history, or in the history of another plane. And we see that same style here, we see the same art, and usually I think with the special art styles from other planes, it doesn't really serve a purpose other than it just looking cool and being thematic to the card. But here it actually shows us that Quintorius has gone into history, and people will remember him for what he's done in this story already. So I think that is a beautiful little piece there, and there is a lot in this art as well. We see, for one thing, the staff that he has gotten when he sort of got into the seniority of his classes. So that is one thing. We can see that he shoots bolts. We can see the sort of magic sign, which is a circle around whatever is shooting that thing. And we see something that is used in, I guess, Christianity or any holy piece of art from medieval times. We see the sort of halo around him, which shows that he is a significant character. And then there's one other thing, which is the Stargate around him, which sort of signifies a lot of energy, usually, but also signifies one other thing that we'll touch on in a bit. The scrolls are very logical for him. The Lorehold students and teachers and people that studied in Lorehold all use these scrolls to put forward magic, and they can sort of read it, and then the magic springs forth. So that is a good theme here. We see one falling here as well, which is pretty fun. That really shows us that this is a Lorehold card. But one other thing I love about this is Quintorius's backstory about Xanthafar, which is his homeland, where I guess his people come from. He also says where my people lived before becoming nomads. Now they are nomads because they aren't really accepted in any of the towns. He is really excited to learn about the history here, but we can also see where it clicks, that he really got to embrace that red side of himself, which is to change what we think of history right now, at least. Not to really change history, but to change how we think about it right now. He wants to change how people think about the people from Xanthafar, about his Loxodon people. And that is why he is so excited, and excitement is of course a red thing as well, to find this lost city. Now we can see why his previous card really shows us how he's so special. He wants to respect history, but he wants to change how we think about it. So that is a bit different than most other Lorehold students. And he still says every life has a story to tell. He really finds that important. So I wasn't just talking in the air about that. It actually says in the lore, in the flavor of one of his cards as well. And we see that before he was already really good with spirits. He gives them more power. He kind of empowers them because they get to tell their story. And he already made them. So this was already in his color identity, and he still makes spirits like that. And I think that is a beautiful part there. But why did he get that blue color? I guess I have told it a bit before, that the color he got was blue. Well, the thing is, he found, so he was with the other students, and he was actually standing next to Rutha. Not next to, not in this, they weren't standing like this, but no, I don't really see why they do it in any case. What I think would have done for the art direction, so this is of course not the fault of the artist per se, but what I would have done to in the description of the art is make sure that Quintorius is next to Rutha. Then we have red, and we would put Killian next to Quintorius and go on like that, so that all the colors are next to each other. Then Dina indeed next to Killian, and finish it with, I forgot her name again, but the green-blue one, so that all the colors are next to each other. That is one thing. And then Quintorius is next to Rutha, which is the case in the story, because he got Rutha had to defend them from some kind of monster, from a teacher that was had some phyrexian on her, and Quintorius took over the prismari color to still be able to cast this huge spell to defend their plane. And that is why he got he had to push in all three of those colors. So red, which he got from both schools, white from Lorehold, but then also the blue from prismari. And he had them all, he kind of learned them all, he had them all inside of him maybe. He had the talent for it all, and then he was able to finish the spell together with the other three students. Simone is the green blue one, by the way. Yeah, so he was able to finish it, and he got the color, and then something changed. He became a 3-colored student, and he had this beautiful pose, and then he planeswalked away to a different story. Seems perhaps like Zendikar or something, but I'm not sure. But he moved somewhere else. And we can see that. We see still in this art as well the goggles, we see the gold pieces on his tusks, and we see something that I find beautiful, that his book sort of got unwrapped. He's sort of unleashed, maybe. But he did get the red, the white, and the blue into his color identity now, and we can really see him change. And this is an interesting piece of color changing as well. So if you are a YouTuber that talks a lot about color, I would go way deeper into this. But that is interesting for his story. And one other thing that is interesting is that these combinations, at least blue-white, don't appear on Strixhaven. So this is new for them as well. And the only other time that we saw a color combination before was with Rakdos. So that is like the opposite of blue-white, of Azorius. And that is interesting to me, because this might change the world of Strixhaven a lot as well. But Quintorius will have some adventures to go on for himself. He will learn the history about more worlds. And I think that is a beautiful next step for him, because his story has a lot of potential in the way that it fits and clicks with our current society, I guess. He has got a lot stronger. We saw him in the Strixhaven story, in the command cards. I think we see all of the students in their sort of maybe evolved forms. Here we see him standing, seemingly adult, maybe even. He has become a lot taller. We can see him using his staff maybe for the first time. We see a spirit here, which he chose to be able to use very well, and he has a cool clock. Maybe he will do something with actual time magic as well and learn that from the fairy. I don't know, would be cool. But to wrap things up, I think he has a lot of potential. I think in the next set we will get the Jeskai, so red, white, blue card from him as a planeswalker. And I wondered two more things, which is one, what will we do with history on other planes? I would like to know that from you too. And the other part, which I guess will pass over to Dice Try, is what will happen when he actually gets that extra color, and what will it mean for his personality. I think that will be an interesting part as well. So in any case, thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and again, please let me know what you think he will do as a planeswalker next. Bye.